As the great African proverb states, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Woo! I am so excited today to ignite an extraordinary group of women, entrepreneurs, and professionals who I have no doubt will impact this nation beyond my imagination. I am Latria Graham. I am president of Graham Leak Branding, AKA Trinity and Destiny's mom. Yeah, those are my babies. Aren't they just cute? But mighty nation, don't let the cuteness fool you. This is real life for me at home. I got a 4-year-old that's going on 40, and this is the real baby boss, okay? So I need this nation to be in prayer with me as I cope with this little woman. All right, I would like to do things a little different. I'm a sports enthusiast and professional, so I would like to invite you into my leadership locker room, where I will give you my 4 top plays on how to build your brand with purpose, but also sustain your brand over time. Now, if you're ready for this, let me hear you say, "Put me in, coach." Put me in, coach. All right, sounds like a championship team to me. Let's get it going. Number 1, have a clear vision. As simple as this sounds, Forbes magazine still lists this as the top reason why businesses fail: not having a plan in place. Many of you are business owners in the room, and whether you like it or not, your personal brand reflects the vision of the company. So how do others really perceive you? Have any of you actually done a survey or designated a couple of people that you can ask the question to? You really should think about that as you progress in your careers. This is valuable information that you need to know. I like to share a quote from rap artist Jay-Z that I loved. He recently did an interview with the New York Times Magazine, and he said, "Would you rather be a trend, or would you rather be Ralph Lauren?" And what he means by that is, do you want to just trend for a couple of days on social media or be in the headlines for 24 hours? Or are you trying to build a brand that's an enterprise, a corporation that's sustainable over time? And often I would think you would want the latter. So having a vision is key to your success. Jay-Z is actually started out as a rap artist. He went to be an icon, and now he's the first ever billionaire rap artist to be here. So I'm excited for Jay-Z's career, and he is the perfect example of looking beyond the situation that you're in now. So have a clear, concise vision in your playbook. So I want to share a little bit about vision. So as a young girl, I had a lot of personality. I was the baby of 5 kids, and I have an identical twin sister, Latia and Latria. You like that? It rhymes. And I decided early on that I knew that I wanted to be this game changer in the sports industry, but I didn't really know how I was going to accomplish that vision. So I started by actually playing sports. So I was the only girl on an all-boys soccer team in 7th grade. And then I ventured off in 8th grade to do basketball on the all-girls basketball team. And boy, did I suck. I didn't get in one game in 8th grade, but I was on the team, and we went all the way to the championship, and I was just excited about it. So I continued my vision, And I knew that sports was still my industry, although I couldn't play. It was just something about the excitement of the game that I connected to. Also, the excitement and engagement of bringing people together towards one common goal. This sense of community, fans rallying together. I just knew that I belonged in that industry. In high school, I started working on the morning news team. And since I love sports, I said, well, how about we create a segment dedicated specifically to sports? So every morning on the news, you heard my voice. Good morning, Vikings. This is Tria G with your sports report. And so every time I go back to Jacksonville, every time one of my classmates see me, they're like, "Oh, is that Tria G with your sports report? You still working on sports?" Yeah, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me. So that's where I started off with my career, and every day I still was just working towards that vision of being this game changer in the sports industry. And my mom, pictured here in the red, she saw that hard work and determination that was in me. And she gave me the nickname Butterfly. And you know what? The nickname ironically was very profound to me in the correlation of vision, and I'm going to tell you why. This picture actually represents the final product of the butterfly. But what we don't see is this process of metamorphosis that the butterfly goes through to get to these big, beautiful wings. And that is similar to your personal brand journey. We go through this life cycle to determine who we are, why we're doing it, and we identify our strengths, where we are weak. The problem at hand is that a lot of entrepreneurs do not spend a lot of time in the life cycle of the butterfly called the chrysalis phase. This is the chrysalis phase. This is sort of a cocoon stage in which you should be refining, defining, clearly developing your purpose and your vision, asking yourself those key questions of, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Where do I want to be in 5 to 20 years? Do I want to be profitable, or do I just want to be popular? Am I doing this to get rich, or I'm really doing this to help people solve problems through products and services? So really spend time in this stage focusing on your personal vision statement. It's the foundation of who you are. It's your DNA. So I love this quote from Mark Twain. He says, I can teach anybody how to get what they want out of life. The problem is I can't find anybody who can tell me what they want. So know what you want. In order for your business and your brand to soar, you have to be able to clearly articulate your vision. All right, now let's get to top play number 2. Be consistent. Consistency is the key to sustainable success. One of my favorite videos to watch is motivational speaker Les Brown talk about this Chinese bamboo tree. And the Chinese bamboo tree actually takes 5 years to grow. In the process of growing this bamboo tree, the planter has to water it, they have to fertilize it every single day. No days off, no time off, no breaks until the bamboo actually breaks ground on that 5th year. And get this, once they get to the 5th year, within only 5 weeks, the bamboo tree grows 90 feet tall. After 5 years, 5 weeks, the bamboo tree grows 90 feet tall. Now, the question is, did the bamboo tree take 5 years to grow or 5 weeks? The truth is, it took 5 years to grow. At any point, if that planter stopped in that operation of consistency, of watering, of planting that root within those 5 years, the tree would have died. So are you consistently planting and watering and fertilizing your dream or your vision? Or do you stop when an obstacle comes up? Are you letting other things get in the way of being consistent with striving towards your end goal? Now, I'm going to tell you, I was put to the test years ago, and I'm going to show you, talk about this picture. It means a lot to me because years ago, I got an opportunity to work for BET, which is Black Entertainment Television. It was the dream job of every young college student to go there because they had these video jockeys, they were growing, everybody was watching it, and I really did want to be a part of it. And when I received this opportunity, I had never been out of the state of Florida, so it was in Washington, D.C., and I didn't know how I would get there. I didn't know how I would get around in such a large city, but I was really passionate about this opportunity. So my dear mother, she had just purchased a nice, shiny red Crown Victoria. She knew how much I wanted this, and she said, you know what, Latria, you're my butterfly. I want you to go after this. And so she let me take her car to DC for this summer job. So she actually drove me 10 hours from Jacksonville up to DC. We got there, she gave me a hug, and they rented a car and drove back. I was so excited. I, had a good night rest. The next morning I got up, I decided I needed to get some things out of my car. I was one day away from the job actually starting, so I was getting antsy. So I walked downstairs and I found that my car was gone. Someone had stolen the car. And I didn't know, I was trying to think about what am I going to do, but the thing that scared me the most is calling my mom, saying, hey, somebody just stole your car. And I called the VP of content at the time of BET and told them the situation. They felt so sorry for me and were devastated that that happened to me after only 2 days of being in the city. And they thought for sure that I was going back home after this experience. But you have to know, this young Southern woman from Jacksonville, Florida, I wasn't going out like that. So I immediately became what I like to call the CFIO, the Chief Figure It Out Officer. I downloaded all the schedules of the train station, the buses, and mapped out how I was going to get back and forth to this job every day. And I figured it out, and I ended up having to commute every day for 2 hours, an hour on the bus, and then an hour on the train, back and forth to get to work. And I became one of the most respected summer associates in the office for doing that. And this photo represents that moment that I did it. And at the end, BT Jackie Reed was the nightly news anchor on the main network at the time, and I had the opportunity to meet her and she gave me some valuable advice, but I would have never got there to have that opportunity if I would not have become the CFIO that day. So write that down. Every now and then, you got to give yourself that title. So I say all of that to say that it is extremely important to go after your vision and be consistent in building a brand that shows that you do so. All right, let's go to play number 3. We're moving and shaking. Be a risk taker. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Difficult roads lead to great destinations. You got to be like my favorite brand in the car industry, Cadillac. Dare to drive. Taking risks actually separates you from the pack, and they are directly connected to opportunities. I love this brand campaign from Cadillac. They say, only those who dare drive the world forward. And speaking of driving forward, this is Danica Patrick. I love Danica. She is one of the most successful women in history in open wheel racing. And I actually dreamed one day that I had this fantasy that I would be this NASCAR driver, you know? Now, it's still sticking to my theme on sports, and I felt like this was something I was going to do. And I was more attracted to the one-piece suits that they would wear. I mean, I'm like, I want one of those cat suits that the Eminem brand on here, and I was picking out all my brands. I just had this vision that I could do this. And for the first time ever, I recently got a chance to go to the Daytona 500. And I actually, it was a great experience. We got a behind the scene tour. I was able to meet Bubba Wallace, the president of the International Speedway. And then I met this guy in the middle here. He's a professional race car driver. His name is Jesse Iwuji, and he gave me the reality of my fantasy of being a race car driver. So he told me the outfit. It really is one of the most hot and heavy fire suits. So I'm like, man, so it's not really a cat suit. This is a fire suit. Okay. And then he says, and the temperature in the race car oftentimes exceeds 100 degrees. And when you're racing, it can go all the way up to 170 degrees. And, I'm freaking out, like, okay. And he says another stat to our group. Drivers can lose 5 to 10 pounds of sweat during a race because of that hot, heavy suit. And there's no AC. And then the girls around me are like, 5 to 10 pounds in 4 hours? Yes. How do I sign up? And on the other hand, I look at Jesse and I say, so you're telling me that you have to drive in this car for 4 hours with no air conditioning? And Jesse looked me right in the eye and he said, yep, and there are no bathroom breaks either. So I realized quickly that that was not my lane. I would stay in my lane of sports philanthropy. And I say all that to say the point that I really want to make is the extreme risk that professional NASCAR drivers take to accomplish their goals, driving at a speed of 200 miles per hour on those tracks, risking their lives just to get into victory lane is quite commendable to me. And that translates into our lives and our visions and what you want to accomplish. Don't let fear be an option for you. It's not an option for me, and it's not an option for these drivers. So what is it you're afraid of? What gets you out of your actual comfort zone? So, everyone, you guys have seen, how many of you have seen Shark Tank in here? All right, all right. This is my favorite shark, Robert. I had a chance to meet him and had a wonderful conversation about business to him. And I had a moment in my career where I felt like I was in a room of sharks that I want to share with you today. Um, I was working for a company. They were going through a restructure, and some people left, some people were laid off, and I was blessed and thankful to be able to still be with the company, but I got a lot more responsibility. I was working about 60 hours per week, and I was really still performing at a very, very high level. So I sensed that although this happened, this might actually turn into an opportunity for me. But a part of me felt that if this opportunity of a promotion was to fall into my lap, that I might be lowballed on the offer. So I just sort of prepared myself for that, but I still worked very, very hard. And so the opportunity came. I was called in the office by the head of my department at the time, a woman, and the director, who was a man. And they had two sheets of paper, and they had the offer there. Latria, you've been working very, very hard. We've taken notice, and we want to promote you to blah, blah, blah. Here is our offer. And so I look at the paper, and I looked down, and sure enough, those numbers weren't where I wanted them to be. And so, in that moment, of course, I was very nervous. And with butterflies in my stomach, I wrote down on the paper, I appreciate the opportunity. I was grateful that they were considering me for this role, but I wanted to explore. I wondered if we can explore a different number, and I wrote it on the paper, and I slid it back to the director. And so the director, the man, was like, yeah, he just seemed like, okay, I see ya. And but the woman, she actually had a different reaction, and she said, well, Latria, typically with a promotion, you don't get to counter offer. It's a promotion. And with more butterflies and fear growing inside of me, I respectfully and professionally responded, I appreciate your feedback. However, based on the performance metrics and exceeding my goals and objectives, I really feel that I'll be of great access to this department, and I will continue my commitment to grow the department in the areas of need. And I would at least appreciate the consideration. So they looked at each other. Yeah, yeah, okay. But I was scared, y'all. I was scared. I was like, oh, what am I doing? So they looked at each other, and they said, well, you know what? We need some time. We're going to give you to the end of the day. We're going to think about this, and we'll get back to you. And so, meanwhile, I left out of the office. I closed the door smiling. I ran to the bathroom. I called my mentor, and I just had this moment, a Jerry Maguire moment. I called my mentor. I say, I did it. I stood up. I told her she better show me the money. I want my cash. She said, a typical employee? I'm not a typical employee. I don't do typical work. Of course, my confidence level had went up in the bathroom. And then I left it. I got off the phone. My mentor came out of the bathroom. I went back to my cubicle, just smiling, with my professional demeanor. And later on, they came back to me that day, and they gave me what I asked for. Know your worth. Know your worth in the theme of the summit. So now there are some rules and risk taking. I'm not telling you to go in there. And some of you business owners, you may have a $50,000 contract saying this contract is worth $1 million. I don't want you to do that. Evaluate all your risks. Start small. Celebrate failure. The final top play of my game plan is to serve others authentically. I truly believe that this play in our playbook locks in brain sustainability. When you learn to serve other people using your talents and your gifts, I guarantee that doors will open for you authentically. People will remember you for the things that you do to help them. And that's important. And it's important because it leads people to like you. And people only do business with people that they like. So make sure that you have a plan for serving others. And I want to give you a locker room stat to prove that Americans feel this way. Look at this. According to the Cause Marketing Forum research, American consumers, especially the millennials and Gen Zs, they have high expectations for companies and brands. Look at this. 86% of them say that you should be prioritizing your social responsibility plan. 85% said that you should be caring and that you should be advocating for issues. And I really love this stat. 64% of consumers are very likely to purchase based on your commitment to social impact. Think about that. Isn't that fascinating to you? You can have the best quality product in the world, but the consumer is not looking at the quality of the product. They want to know, who is this person that I'm doing business with? Do they really care about me? Do they really care about their communities? Or are they just here to make profit? Consumers are no longer satisfied with blindly supporting businesses whose missions are in contrast with their brand promise. There's a lot of families in need in America. We are living in a day and time where people are suffering. Access to mental health resources are limited. There's a national crisis for affordable housing. I actually serve currently as the chairwoman of the board of Habitat for Humanity of Orlando and Osceola, and we have hundreds of families on our wait list. So there's an opportunity for each of you to get involved in serving your community. And if you are leading a brand or a company without a real commitment to serving others, you got zero on the scoreboard right now. You really do. So really think about that. And then lastly, I want to talk about being a servant leader. I challenge each of you to include this in your DNA or in your culture. It's very important. Pat Williams, who was the founder of the Orlando Magic, he talked about these 9 distinctive qualities all the time to me, and the valuing of diverse opinions that stood out to me, understanding that everybody's not like me, but I still needed to value and listen to their perspectives. Thinks you, not me. You know, I never wanted the spotlight. It just came naturally from me helping other people and helping people with their life issues. That's very, very important. Every day I wake up, I'm so thankful and blessed to be able to lead a company that helps people help people. I work with what I like to call the gentle giants of the NBA, working with players every day, helping them to develop their plan of outreach, not just showing up for the photo, but really putting together strategic plans for impact. I'm extremely passionate about that, and we work together hand in hand, always changing the community. And I'm not scared to roll up a sleeve every now and then and give back myself. The reality is that brands no longer have the luxury of not supporting community causes. All right, so a look back at our playbook. Number one, have a clear vision, be consistent, be a risk taker, serve others authentically, and lastly, I have one of my favorite quotes, just be you. When you think about personal branding, one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my career early on is I was trying to be like other people. I would see other people at the top level and think, oh, I need to dress like them. I need to speak like them. And that actually caused my light to dim more. So be authentically you. No one can be you. And although I discovered along the way that I wasn't cut out to be that race car driver, I was born to fly like a butterfly. So fly high, butterflies.